Nigeria, the giant of Africa. A land of vibrant cultures, incredible talent, and immense potential. Yet, for decades, a shadow has loomed over our nation, a problem so deeply embedded it sometimes feels like part of our DNA: corruption. It's a word we hear every day, a reality many of us face in different ways. It affects everything from the roads we drive on to the opportunities our children have. And it begs the question that's on everyone's mind: can Nigeria ever truly be free from corruption? That's the big question we're diving into today. Is a corruption-free Nigeria a far-fetched dream, or is it an achievable reality? Let's be honest, the scale of the problem is huge. We see it in the headlines, we hear it in the whispers on the street. But to just give up and say it's impossible, that would be a disservice to the spirit of every Nigerian who works hard and dreams of a better future. The answer isn't a simple yes or no. The journey to a less corrupt Nigeria is a marathon, not a sprint, but it is a journey we can begin. It starts with believing that change is possible, and that every single one of us has a role to play. So, why does it feel like corruption has such a tight grip on Nigeria? You often hear the phrase, Nigeria is one of the most corrupt countries in the world. Now, while international indexes like the Corruption Perception Index often place Nigeria in a challenging position, calling it the most might be an overstatement. Many countries face similar struggles. But it's undeniable that the problem here is systemic and widespread. So, what are the root causes? First, we have to look at the issue of weak institutions. When our justice system, our law enforcement, and our regulatory bodies are underfunded, undertrained, and susceptible to external pressures, they can't effectively hold people accountable. If the consequences for corrupt acts are minimal or non-existent, what's to stop them from happening? It creates a culture of impunity, where people with power and influence feel like they are above the law. Then there's the economic factor. High rates of poverty and unemployment create a desperate environment where people feel they have to engage in corrupt practices just to survive. When a civil servant's salary isn't enough to feed their family, the temptation to accept a bribe becomes immense. This isn't an excuse, but it's a critical part of the picture. Economic instability fuels the survival of the fittest mentality, and unfortunately, corruption can seem like the easiest path to survival for some. Another huge factor is the societal and cultural acceptance of corruption. It has become so normalized that it is often seen as just the way things are done. We have phrases like Nigerian factor or who you know that point to this deep-seated acceptance. When a young person sees that the path to success isn't always through hard work and merit, but through connections and cutting corners, it warps their entire worldview. We celebrate unexplained wealth without questioning its source, which sends a dangerous message to the next generation. This normalization is one of the biggest hurdles we face. From giving a small token of appreciation to an official to secure a contract, it's a slippery slope that has seeped into many aspects of our lives. And let's not forget the political dimension. The high cost of running for office in Nigeria is a major driver of corruption. Candidates often spend enormous sums of money to get elected, and once in power, the pressure to recoup that investment and reward their political sponsors is immense. This turns governance into a business transaction rather than public service. The focus shifts from developing the nation to enriching a few, creating a vicious cycle where politics and corruption feed each other. So, weak institutions, economic hardship, social normalization, and a broken political system, these are the powerful forces that have created the perfect storm for corruption to thrive in Nigeria. Understanding these root causes is the first step towards finding a solution. It's not about pointing fingers at one person or group, but about recognizing that this is a complex, systemic issue that has been building for generations. Now, acknowledging the problem is one thing, but wallowing in despair won't change anything. The most important question is, what is the way forward? How do we begin to untangle this complex web and build a better future for Nigeria? It's not about one single magic bullet, but a combination of sustained, multifaceted efforts. First and foremost, we need a revolution in accountability. This starts from the top. We need true political will from our leaders to fight corruption, not just in words, but in decisive action. This means strengthening our anti-corruption agencies like the FCC and ICPC, ensuring they are truly independent, well-funded, and free from political interference. It means prosecuting high-profile cases, no matter who is involved, to send a clear message that no one is above the law. When people see real consequences, the culture of impunity will begin to crumble. Secondly, we must tackle the economic drivers. We need to create an economy that provides real opportunities for its citizens. This means investing in education, creating jobs, supporting small and medium-sized enterprises, and ensuring that the minimum wage is a living wage. When people have legitimate means to prosper, the lure of corruption diminishes significantly. An empowered and economically stable populace is one of the strongest defenses against corruption. But institutional and economic reforms are only part of the solution. The real, lasting change has to happen in our hearts and minds. We need a fundamental mindset shift as a society. This is where you and I come in. We must stop normalizing and participating in corruption, no matter how small. Reject the idea that you need to pay a bribe to get a driver's license or to get your file moved. It might be inconvenient in the short term, but it's a necessary sacrifice for the long-term health of our nation. We need to start celebrating integrity, honesty, and hard work. Let's change the narrative. Let's make heroes out of the teachers who refuse to leak exam questions, the civil servants who do their jobs diligently without asking for a tip, and the business owners who pay their taxes honestly. We need to raise a generation that understands that true success is built on character, not on cutting corners. Technology is also a powerful ally in this fight. By digitizing government services from applying for permits to paying taxes, we can increase transparency and reduce the human-to-human interactions where corruption often thrives. When processes are clear, automated, and trackable online, it becomes much harder for anyone to demand a bribe or manipulate the system. Implementing things like a Treasury single account was a step in the right direction. We need more of such technology-driven initiatives across all levels of government. So, can Nigeria be corruption-free? Perhaps free is a utopian ideal for any nation. But can we become a country where corruption is the exception, not the rule? Absolutely. Yes, we can. It requires strong leadership, robust institutions, economic prosperity, and most importantly, a collective decision by every Nigerian to say enough is enough. The journey is long, and the path is difficult, but it is not impossible. The power to change Nigeria lies in our hands. It's in our vote, in our voice, in our daily actions, and in the values we teach our children. Let's stop asking if it's possible and start working to make it our reality. Thank you so much for joining me in this very important conversation. What are your thoughts on the way forward for Nigeria? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you found this video insightful and want to be part of more discussions like this, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our future uploads. Together, let's keep the conversation going and work towards the Nigeria we all deserve. See you in the next one.